What's up, guys? This video is going to go through referencing. This is specifically going to look at the Harvard referencing system, and we're going to focus on a reference list, which you might also call a bibliography, just depending on what year level you're in. There is a bit of a difference, but we're not going to go through that so much today. For this video, the learning intention is to understand the importance of referencing your work and to understand the Harvard system specifically. So that's also going to be our success criteria. We want you to be able to reference your work using the Harvard system. Now, why do we want that? All right, this is because you can't just steal someone's work. I just want you to imagine for a second that you have come up with something, an idea. Perhaps it was a piece of clothing that you decided to wear one day, and you've never seen anyone else wear this before. You just got this great idea and you think it looks awesome. You start wearing it and you're pretty happy with yourself. All of a sudden though, your best friend comes along, they've seen what you're wearing, and they decide that they're going to wear that exact same thing. And no one's giving you any credit for that. They're not giving you the credit, and what's even worse is that everyone else actually thinks that this person, your friend, has come up with this fashion idea themselves. This might have happened to you before, and it's not going to make you feel all that good, is it? So, reality is, you need to give credit where credit is due. So how do we do that? Well, I know you're all eager to get going, as I can see. I'm sure you're super excited about this one. First thing we need to find is the author. So we're going to go to a website here. And when you have your website, as this video is focusing mostly on websites because, let's face it, you're going to use those more than you probably are books. So I have my website here and I need to find who wrote it. Now you can scroll around. In a lot of cases, if you can't find it at the top, then scroll to the bottom and you may just happen to find the name of who wrote it. However, this one has it both at the top and at the bottom, but I can see here that it was written by Robert C. L. Holmes. Okay? Now, you can either retype that or you can copy and paste directly from the website and then put that into a Word document. So that's going to be the first thing that we put down. Right, we've got the name here. I'm going to edit this so that it's not all in that font that I've got it from the internet, and I'm going to actually change the case. If you didn't know how to do that, then I can do it where I capitalize each word. Now, in some cases, you can put the full name. There's nothing wrong with that. Personally, I like it when I've just got the last name there with a comma and then the first initial. But again, you can put whatever information that you find there is relevant. The main thing is when you're referencing is that you stay consistent the whole way through. Harvard has some room for changes, such as having the full name or just that first initial, as long as you don't change in each one in your bibliography or reference list. Now, you may not always find an author, okay? And in this case, we happen to have found one, but let's just say that we couldn't. All right, let's just say this didn't have an author here. Well, what do we do? And it's best practice in that situation to then find out, well, who has written this. So find the name of the website. Usually you can find that in the link, right? But that's not going to be enough. We need to really know for sure that is that it. It's right at the top of the page here, HistoryNet, which looks to me as if it's one word. It's also all in capitals, but I'm just going to assume that it is a one-word thing. I'm going to separate it with this line that I get by pushing Shift and the button that is directly above the Enter key with a backslash. And then I'm going to put in HistoryNet. I'm assuming that's how it is to be written, but if you wrote it all in capitals, that would be fine again, because we don't know for sure how it's supposed to be unless we, went really deep digging, more than we want to do. We want to get this as quick as possible so we can move on. I'm going to separate this with a full stop, and then I'm going to need the next bit of information that we need is to find out when it was published. Okay, that is more specific to the year it was published, but you could find the exact date. Say if it were a news article, it might be more specific. So back on this same article again, I'm looking for something that indicates to me when it was written. Well, right next to the author's name, it happens to tell me the 9th of the 10th, 2021. I am, for my reference list, only going to focus on the year. And a really good practice just to separate the year is to put it in brackets. Again, doesn't have to be done as long as you stay the same each time. Harvard referencing is more about the order of things than it is about some of the punctuation you use. But I find that this is good practice to use. Following this, we are going to get the title. Now, what's crucial with the title is that you put it in italics, always. And interestingly enough, this doesn't just apply to a reference list of bibliography, it actually applies to any time you are talking about a title of something. This may be relevant in subjects like English or science, where you're talking about a title of, say, a book or your textbook. Always put it in italics. And the advantage of referencing websites is that we can copy and paste a lot of the information, so it can be done quite quickly. In this case, the title is right here. Right, this is the title of the article that I'm reading, or the page that I'm reading. So it's different to HistoryNet, which is, the company that has made this website. It's the title of this information that I've got: gunpowder weapons in medieval Europe. I'm going to Control C, which is the shortcut for copy. And then I'm going to Control V, which is a shortcut for paste. Now you see that it blurs it a bit. That's why I click these buttons to keep text only. Also put it all in capitals, which I don't want. I'm just going to capitalize each word and change in so that it is a lowercase, which it should be. But like I said, always in italics. So I'm going to highlight, hover over the italics key, and there we have it. Now I'm going to separate this with a comma or a full stop. I've used full stops already in this, so I'm going to continue with that trend. So we have our author, we have our year published, and we have our title. The next step is to copy and paste the link, all right? Specifically the web link that the website. Right, this should be the easiest thing for you to find, and depending on which browser you're using, you can just click up the top, all right, Control C again, or you can right click and copy, and then Control V, paste. Now that one's put it in this format where it's got the title name like this. I don't actually like that. I actually just want the text there because that's not a link. But again, either way might work for you. If you feel more comfortable just having that short link, it might be exactly what you're after. Because this is an online article, we need to say that. We can either do that before the link or after. I'm going to do that before the link, and I'm going to separate it with these larger brackets and capital letters, put the words online. Now, as soon as I push enter here, it's going to turn it into a link. All right, up to you whether you keep that or not. If you don't want to, just scroll to the box and say remove hyperlink. I've done that by right-clicking on the link itself. And the last thing we need to do is find out the date that this was accessed. And this is specifically when you accessed it. Okay, now I know what it's like. A lot of the reference lists that I look at have either the same dates on it because you were doing all your work the night before it was due, or you've gone back and just made up a bunch of dates because you went, oh, I probably looked at it on this date and this date. Look, the key is to just copy that link on the day you go to the website, start building your reference list, and then if you have to, go back later and put them in the correct format. But knowing that date that you went on there and just having the link, that's going to save you a lot of trouble. So we're going to put the words date accessed with a colon, and then we are going to put on the date that we looked at it. Let's just say, for argument's sake, it was the 1st of February 2023. And there you have it. That is what it will look like in your bibliography. And you may have several references as you go on. Now, each one of these is going to be put in alphabetical order. So if we have one that's, say, written by a different author, then that one should be ahead of that starting with H. All right, if it started with Z, it would be afterwards, and you would compile this list in alphabetical order. Have a play around with this. It's going to take some time and some practice, but the key, like I said, is to be consistent. All right, if, say, you had different types of brackets, that wouldn't be an issue as long as you're consistent on each one that you reference. If you don't use brackets around the year, but instead just have the year with a full stop, that's also fine as long as it's consistent. The key things to keep in mind are the order in which you put the information, that the title is in italics, that you have your link, and the date you access it. Then you should be fine. Good luck. I'll see you in the next video.